learned, and what follow-ups do you have on insurance, on some of the other financial issues, on Weisselberg and some of the members of the Trump organization from your hearing last week?
Well, Cohen's testimony was pretty explosive. He showed 2 documents that the president was paying him while he was president in an illegal scheme. And just today, as you know, Andrea, they have offered 6 more checks. This was a systematic scheme for almost a year where the president is taking meetings with heads of state or senators and then at the same time worrying about how they would illegally pay off Michael Cohen. I think we need more testimony from Weisselberg, from Donald Trump Jr., from Eric Trump, to really understand the type of financial fraud that was there. Today, I think, Cohen, they're focused probably on the Moscow project, what the president told Cohen about that and whether he told him to lie about it, and a lot of unanswered questions about what the president knew about the WikiLeaks and how much knowledge he had of that illegal activity.
And how concerned are you about the information, I believe, since your hearing about security clearances from the reporting that there were the president overruling his own security advisors regarding at least Jared Kushner?
Well, I'm very concerned. Look, I know Jared Kushner. We've worked together on modernizing federal websites, and this isn't a partisan issue. I have no problem with Kushner at the White House Office of Innovation. But to give him a security clearance and give him access to sensitive information, and then to have reports that he's on WhatsApp with MBS in Saudi Arabia, that should be deeply concerning to the American public. That is not the standard protocol, and this president is overturning the judgment of very senior people who understand national security. So we need to know why that happened, and we need to make sure that it's not going to continue to happen where sensitive information is leaking to foreign leaders.
I also want to ask you about what's going on in the Democratic Caucus, because it sounds like they're having a great deal of difficulty working on this Democratic resolution, what to include, whether it should mention Omar, whether it should mention, anti-Islamicist rhetoric as well, other racist problems that have been against different groups, including Omar. But what about her comments? I believe you spoke to the Congresswoman. Can you clarify what's going on right now within the caucus?
Well, Andrea, I'm going to be candid. It is a debate. There are different perspectives. My perspective is that her comments were inappropriate, but that she has apologized and that we should move on, and that any resolution should clearly condemn anti-Semitism, but also should condemn Islamophobia and white nationalism, and we should have a broad resolution against all kinds of hate. And I think that will be the emerging consensus, and hopefully we can get there by tomorrow.
And do you think you can get there by tomorrow? Because the Speaker said she was hopeful it could happen this week. It's not clear what the timing is. You think it'll be this week?
I think she's hopeful. Look, there are growing pains when you have the kind of diversity in the caucus, and out of candor, we should acknowledge there are different perspectives and large debate. That said, here's my hope. Andy Levin, who's a new member of Congress, and Rashida Tlaib, who's also a new member of Congress, talk about the Levin-Tlaib peace plan for the Middle East. So one advantage of having all this incredible diversity and this debate is it may lead to a more nuanced and thoughtful foreign policy. And it actually now reflects the country's demographics much better. I'm hopeful that we'll get past these debates and be more constructive.
Will you oppose any Republican efforts, Kevin McCarthy and others, talking about trying to force Omar off the Foreign Affairs Committee?
Absolutely. She's a freshman member of Congress, young in her career. Yes, she misspoke. Yes, that was wrong. Yes, she should apologize. But the piling on is just totally uncalled for, especially when you look at the history of comments from many Republicans and many other members who have misspoken and they didn't face those consequences. So let's have a sense of proportion. I'm sure many people in their freshman term have said things they regret. She has apologized. She's accepted responsibility. It's now time to move on.
Speaking of Rashida Tlaib, you were just speaking about her. What about this impeachment push from some of these freshman members?
You know, I think Nancy Pelosi has the right judgment, which is first we've got to build the evidence. The American public doesn't know all the evidence yet. As you know, Andrea, Mueller's investigation has been in private. The Southern District of New York has been confidential. So first we've got to make the case and the evidence, and hopefully we'll get some Republicans on board. When Nixon's the tide turned against Nixon, it was when the tapes were released and even Republicans started coming on board. And I think what Pelosi and Nadler want to do is make a systematic case.
Khanna, Congressman, thank you so much. It's always good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Andrea. Great to be on.